we are all unique people. You know, our genes might be very similar in terms of our species, but we are all kind of unique in our own little way. We have different personalities, we have different characteristics, different likes and dislikes. We like different methods. You know, squat every day is a thing that I love. Really makes me happy in life to do this. Other people would hate the monotony of doing the same damn exercise over and over again, and that's fine. There are many different kind of styles of life, if you will, and there's also many different styles of training. As long as you're kind of headed in the same direction successfully, then it's all good, really. I get a lot of questions asking me, you know, what's the best idea, what's the best recommendation that you give to somebody to improve their squat or deadlift or whatever. And I've tried to kind of answer the best I can, and then I always kind of scratch my head and I always think to myself, I've probably told that person the wrong thing, because number one, I don't really know this person at all. I might see a video, but I don't really know who they are, what stage of life, what they do for a job. Are they sitting in an office? Are they a tradie? Are they an extrovert, introvert? Do they like different things? Do they like variety? Do they like the same exercise? So many different things. And so it's almost like I don't believe in programs. I don't believe in these opinions, because really the question should be me asking you all these different things. I give you a freaking questionnaire. In fact, that probably wouldn't even give me an idea. I'll probably have to meet you in person and see, you know, what you like and what you don't like and whatever before I can give you some sort of direction. So I think we all have our different needs in life in general also, but in training. In my kind of squat everyday journey, I've kind of bounced around all these different ideas, tested all these different things, because I'm kind of looking for things that make me tick. You know, I've said to you guys on many different occasions, I've had some really good chats with you guys on many different occasions about this very topic. And that's kind of like this idea that some exercises stress me more than others. I've said that squatting, the motion of squatting for me is not taxing. You know, I've kind of said to you guys that it's not really taxing hitting a 90, 95, even 97% of my max almost every day. Now, I don't know whether that's an environmental factor, nurture versus nature, whatever the hell it is. But that's the way I'm built. Maybe because my exposure has been so much in squatting that it's not really a new stimulus, a new stressor. I can just take it. So squatting is not a big deal for me. However, deadlifting, I've noticed over the years that if I deadlift, I get rooted. Now, a lot of you guys have agreed with me on this, that deadlifting is a much, much more taxing exercise. But then I've met other people, you know, through this channel specifically, who have said to me, man, I can deadlift all day long. I just can't have that weight on my back. Even standing there with, you know, 80% or 90% of my 1 rep max in a squat fatigues the hell out of me. And to me, I find that really, really interesting, because I couldn't be the opposite. Like, I could literally walk out 210 right now and stand there for like 5 minutes with no trouble. But get me to hold it in my hands, like 210, hold it in my hands, the same way, just in my hands with straps, whatever, I would fatigue really, really quickly. So we're all different. We all have our different needs. Yesterday morning for me was a really big blip on my radar, if you will. It's something that I did not see coming. I expected myself not to hit 200. But, you know, yesterday was unique in the sense that I was horrible. And I'm my most, the biggest critic that I have. It's me. You know, I keep it real with myself. I was not happy with yesterday's performance at all. I think I went about it the wrong way. Now, in this last 3 weeks of the streak, I have made incredible discoveries with myself, with the pin squats, with the diet, the recovery, all of that. Like, I've kind of realized what my potential is really. It's been incredible. The best highlight of my training career easily. And then yesterday happened, and I was really puzzled. Now, obviously, there are many external factors to yesterday's, you know, situation. Being really, really cold, 5 degrees. My ankles are frozen. My knees are frozen. Everything's frozen. You know, the fact that I slept only 5 hours. I didn't eat anything. I was tired, stiff, all those things. And the fact that I only had 45 minutes to train, so I had to kind of be quick. I didn't have time to kind of work out and crack a sweat and whatever. So those external factors, I'm not stressed about those, because that's just circumstantial. I got to work. I got to live, put food on the table, pay my mortgage, and take care of my family. That's all good, whatever. Squat every day is always going to come second to all those kind of vital things. But the things that I can control is the exercise selection, exercise intensity and volume, and that kind of stuff. So yesterday I started off with RDLs. Now, The way RDLs came into my psyche in recent days has been that I was doing leg extensions and I was pumping my quads really well. By the way, this fella came up, another subscriber, guys. Pleasure to meet him. Came up, introduced himself. Really, really lovely fella. Had a good chat to him. There was another fella later on in the video, also really cool guy. I love talking to you guys and put faces on some of these comments that I get in the comment section. So it's beautiful. So going back to the RDL, so I did quads for a period, and I was kind of pumping my quads and felt good and whatever. It was all going well, and then I noticed that my hamstrings were getting tighter and tighter the more I was pumping my quads, as I was hitting those 200 kilos every single day. And so I noticed a change. I put something into this recipe, if you will, and I noticed a change, and the change wasn't good. So I thought, okay, let's do the opposite of that and see and observe what the opposite of that does. So I started doing that seated hamstring curl machine, and that felt brilliant. I didn't have the need to stretch the hamstrings all the time, and I kind of felt really good. Soon after that, I hit the 210. I think it was the following day I hit 210. And so then I was kind of trying to work out, is it the absence? Is it the fact that I had one day rest from the quads? Or was it the introduction of the hamstrings that kind of did everything? So it was kind of hard to work out scientifically what's going on. And so then one of the reasons that I also looked at doing the hamstrings is because I thought the back pumps that I was getting from the pin squats was kind of linked, correlated with the back pumps I was getting in the pin squats. So I thought, okay, so hamstrings are all super, super tight. My hamstrings are super tight and my lower back is getting pumped with pin squats. So I thought maybe these things two are related. And the leg curl machine wasn't doing it. So I thought, okay, let's do something that completely trashes the entire posterior chain, which is RDLs, snatch grip as well, to kind of introduce more range of motion and to target the upper back. The whole freaking upper back and lower back middle back, everything gets fried, including the hamstrings, with this RDL snatch grip. I started doing that. I did, I think, 2 days in a row, and then yesterday was the third day. I think second or third day. I think it was third day. So I started off the session. I thought, okay, it's really early in the morning. I'm stiff as a board. Let's really unlock the posterior chain, because I've said this to you guys. If your posterior chain is supple, strong, and long, you'll be able to hit ATG. So yesterday I started with that, and I only ended up squatting 150. So the whole day yesterday I worked background processing all this as I'm kind of going about my day. I'm thinking about this, thinking about it, and I go back to some of the other experiences I've had with the deadlifts and the squats. So for me, there seems to be a correlation between bending of the hip. The more I bend at the hip and do these exercises which are kind of more leaned over, the more fatigue I get. Some guys are different, but this is just me. When my torso is nice and vertical, like these pin squats, I can do them every single day, no problem. The moment I start introducing lean, like a hip flexion, like a deadlift or an RDL, my fatigue goes to the roof. So I've introduced these RDLs and I've noticed the bar slowing down more and more and more. Today you saw me fell 200. I was fried. My lower back wasn't pumped. Okay, so my lower back, there was no pump. So thanks to the RDLs, I suppose. But I am fatigued. I am dizzy. I am fatigued. Just dragging myself today. Today was not a work day. So yesterday I worked, today I'm not working. So, I had good food, all that sort of stuff, and I still feel sluggish. So, linking all of those things back to my mind about my past experiences with doing deadlifts, heavy deadlifts regularly, doing heavy RDLs regularly, good mornings, I know that stuff really stresses me out. So now I'm thinking to myself, that's cool. The streak is gone. There's no pressure for me to put up 200 kilos every day. I don't have to kind of work towards that anymore. The streak is done. So I don't have that anxiety to do that anymore. That's okay. I missed 200 again today. That's cool. But I'm looking for reasons why. And I think there's a pattern here. I think the way I need to structure once again, this might not work for you. I'm just telling you exactly what I'm thinking, the brain that's kind of ticking over my brain. What I'm thinking right now is that the first couple of exercises, I should start the training session with something that has me in a vertical torso. And as the session progresses towards the end, so the end exercise is something like a RDL or a deadlift or something that gets me really leaned over. So it goes from like really vertical first exercise, maybe a 45-degree second exercise, and then like a deadlift, which is kind of like, let's say, a horizontal back angle. It's kind of rough ideas, but as the workout progresses, I introduce more and more exercises which are leaning at the hip. Yesterday I started with the other way around. So I started with something that's an RDL, Romanian deadlift, right? So that's leaning forward completely. I worked up to 120. It was early, whatever. Kind of worked hard, whatever. Did a set of 10, and the bar felt heavy as shit when I got back to squats. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know there's external factors here, but also maybe this RDL completely smashed me yesterday and also the previous 2 days. So in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, I've had these experiences before where I've kind of messed around with these hip hinging movements and they've completely fried me. And certainly I've noticed the bar slow down. So now I'm going back now a week to the decision that leg extensions were bad for me and causing some sort of ill effects to my hamstrings, and which kind of made me drop leg extensions and introduce hamstring work, which ended up being RDLs. So now I know that leg extensions for me is not a deal at all. I've said this to you guys in the past. I can freaking hit leg extensions every single day and get minimal, absolute minimal DOMs or any sort of like detriment to my performance. Hamstrings though, they hurt like crazy. Man, DOM lights me up. I can freely hardly sit on the toilet or bend over to pick anything up off the ground. Really smashes me. That's when I isolate hamstrings. When I do RDLs, complete system shutdown. I want to sleep 24/7. I'm sluggish. I'm dragging my feet. I'm dropping 200. Everything feels heavy. I'm dizzy. I'm lethargic. All those things. So what am I doing with this? What's the final conclusion? The final conclusion is I have no idea. I think I need to work on RDLs, but I think I need to be very, very mindful of their effect. I think that can put me in the ground. That fuzziness, that lethargy, that all of that stuff. I feel this right now. I feel kind of systemic fatigue. Now I hear you guys. Some of you guys are going to say, man, you've done 16 days in a row of 200. Don't you think some of that is part of the deal? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I look at the timeline of all of the last 3 weeks and I see when the changes were happening. You know, I've got patterns in my mind. I've got, you know, blips on the radar in my mind. When I introduce something and there's like a sudden change of that kind of graph in my mind or fatigue, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Why did that happen? And I feel like there's a correlation between introducing posterior chain work and the drop in my performance. The bar started slowing down. I started really laboring on the bar. So these are some of the things I'm thinking about right now. I don't know what to think about it anymore. RDLs make me feel incredible. So today I worked up to 140 again, 308 pounds. I did a set of 10. I had trouble with the freaking with the straps. I had to kind of rejig around rep 7, I think it was. Started slipping, but I could have made 10 straight. So I did like 7 and 3, kind of with a pause, rejuggling with my straps. So I did them again, and my God, was that difficult for me. I was like seeing stars. I was seeing stars. And usually I'm pretty good with like these type of exercises, you know, but posterior chain stuff always smashes me. So rolling all of that up into one big recipe, I'm sitting back and I'm like, my first knee-jerk reaction is, okay, drop the hamstring work and reintroduce the quads and just do quads and just stretch your hamstrings a shit ton. Voila. Maybe that's the key. Maybe I should make the RDL frequency much less because they really kick me in the balls. So get back to leg extensions because I was feeling poppy. I was feeling strong. The 210 kilo PR came when I stopped doing leg extensions for 1 day. So basically a rest day. I rested my quads for 1 day. The following day, the bar started flying up. So I think leg extensions are good for me, but I also need to have something in the program that addresses the hamstrings. Because when I was doing those leg extensions, my hamstrings felt like guitar strings, always tight, man, always stretching throughout the day. And I stretch, and a few hours later, I get back to the same damn thing. So conflicting ideas, all these different things. It just goes to show you, man. Going back to how I opened up this video about, you know, that we can't have programs. I don't think I'm like thinking about the sub 50 program, the sub 0 program that kind of I thought about making. I don't think I'm ever going to release a program, guys, because I honestly don't want to send anybody down the wrong track because I don't know you. I don't want to be a creator of a cookie cutter program where I just release something and I don't know anyone or anything and people are just doing these aimless exercises. I want to tailor. Like if I had, like say if my son grew up and he was 18 years old and he's like, Dad, what should I do? I'm like, let's go, man. Let me watch you. Let me see how you're going. Let me see where you're moving, what you're telling me. I need feedback. I need sensory feedback from you to tell me. And then we kind of like address different things, like put up fires or, you know, do things, reactive training. One of you guys gave me a link to an interview on Patreon. Thank you for that, by the way. Like, I hope you're listening. A link to a fella by the name of, nickname is KK, Konstantin Konstantinovos. He sadly passed away a few years ago, but he was like one of the greatest powerlifters, I guess, for our generation. Big dude, 140 kilos. He could like deadlift 900 pounds with no straps, no belt, like absolute machine. The interview was 45 minutes. It was in Russian subtitles, and he was talking about all these different things. And what the things he said to actually the subscriber said to me reminded a lot him of me. So he was talking to KK. I wasn't aware of this. KK was talking about never writing a program. So he believed that walking up to a training session, warming up, and then making a call based on how he felt, because he goes, stress comes in all sorts of things. Lack of sleep, food, fighting, social, stuff. He even said about the moon, which I had never thought about. So he talked about the moon being an influencer of us. He says that the moon has a lot of magnetism and it can change ocean tides, right? It influences the water on the earth because of magnetism, I think he said. And then he goes, we are 70 or 80% water. So if the ocean is being influenced by the moon, what makes you think that our own bodies, our own biology is not going to get influenced by the moon? So there are like super zoomed out external factors that influence us and stress us. And so when you think to yourself, I've written myself a program for 6 months, that is just like, that is so ineffective, man, because it doesn't take into account anything. So he was saying that there's like powerlifting competitions in the world that take into account full moons and half moons and all the position of the moon, because we know, that's what he said, that the world records are usually set when the moon is kind of furthest away or close. I'm not quite sure, but the moon impacts the timing of these competitions because we are water, and this magnetism stuff impacts us. So the reason I'm saying this to you is because a super successful powerlifter had these same ideas about auto regulation. He didn't believe in lifting 1 rep maxes every single day. He said you should lift like heavy once a week, but every single session you come in and train reactively to what the body's telling you. Right now, my body's telling me, dude, these RDLs are sinking into the ground. You got to change something, otherwise your performance is going to plummet. You need to kind of recover from this. But when I was doing the quads, it was like, give me more, give me more, give me more. So everything is a reaction. Everything needs to kind of sink in. You need to study it. You need to think about it and go and move forward. And then over like years of training, you have this like shit ton of data behind you that you can just process and think about, okay, we've done this before, we should do this, blah, 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 blah. No one can offer you the same coaching, the same understanding of what's happening with your body. If you keep your mind open, you understand some of these sensory inputs that your body's telling you. Anyway, guys, you guys have been watching a black screen for a while. I could freaking talk for another hour. Anyway, tonight is a PM session. It's 9 o'clock tonight, so tomorrow I'm training at 10 o'clock, so freaking 12 hours between sessions. But anyway, I'll auto-regulate the hell out of it and see how I feel after the warm-up. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.